Hello everyone and welcome to another YouTube video. Today I'm drawing my character Emryss and you might be thinking, hey Neve, where's the line art? And to answer that question, I will say I'm experimenting. That's it, that's the video. It's just me seeing if my traditional painting style can translate digitally, and I thought I may as well make a video out of it. Now, I will say, obviously, traditionally, I don't have layers or the multiply or overlay feature or the undo button. But let a guy live, okay? Anyway, so it's not really a redesign or anything either. I mean, there's a few things I changed, but it's not really, So, there goes my intro. Please like and subscribe and enjoy the video. Nailed it. So, my painting process. Oh my. To start, I think it's worth mentioning I scrolled Pinterest for an hour looking for a pose before I gave up and did the easiest thing I could think of. So, if you see bad anatomy, no you don't. It's all an illusion. It's all in your mind. These are not the droids you are looking for. So, I sketched out my pose, then did a clean sketch, cleaned up that clean sketch, and then started the colors. And I've never been happier because I hate line art. I mean, it can be relaxing sometimes, but other times, not so much. For the colors, I made Emryss's hair more purple than usual. I don't know why. Just pretend it's for some really smart artsy reason, okay? Okay. But I actually like how it looks, especially after I made the fade out completely blue. It was snazzy, and we like snazzy here. So, as I said, it's not really a redesign, but I did change one thing, and that was introducing yellow into their design to make their trident fit better. I know I just did a dugga, but I really don't want to have to record this bit again, so you're just going to have to deal with the dugga. And I actually kind of like how it turned out, to be honest. Now, if I do a proper redesign video for Emryss, which, let's be honest, I probably will, then there are a few things I'd probably change. The arm wraps aren't doing it for me, I'm going to be honest. And whether that means they need an outfit change or the arm wraps need to change is something I'll have to figure out myself. By the way, the arm wraps kind of have to be there because Emryss uses a trident and that thing's heavy and will leave marks if you don't have sleeves. But Emryss is not about that sleeve life because I decided so. Also because I really don't like sleeves. I don't know if you've been able to tell, but unless it's a jacket, I don't tend to give people sleeves. I also changed their hair a little bit. I mean, I made it a little bit more uniform, and although I admit this was an accident and wasn't me being super cool and smart, we can pretend it was, even though I honestly might prefer it when it's not as neat, and it kind of suits Emryss more if it's messy. I mean, it's so much better this way, and I'm a genius. Leonardo da Vinci who? I will say though, someone needs to make an undo button for traditional artists. Do you know how many times I've messed up a painting and just had to let it dry before I could fix it? Or alternatively, get impatient and get a hairdryer at it. And RIP if it was watercolors, because unless you have tissue paper handy, bye bye hard work. Someone's about to tell me like a big secret, like to taking watercolor off the page without paper. And to that person, where were you when I needed you most? Honestly, the easiest kind of paint I think to like undo a mistake with is obviously like, acrylic or oil. You can just paint over it. But with gouache, you can kind of take it up with the brush for some reason. Like, I don't know, but whenever, maybe it's the kind of gouache and watercolor I have, but if you use it with the watercolor just moves, and then you ruin your painting even more. But if you do it with gouache, you're kind of able to just take it off. Or you can obviously paint over it with a thicker layer of gouache, but, or you can use the paper method, which always works great. Anyway, so next I did some shading, some rendering, adding random blocks of color because they look cool. The biz, the works, the lot, if you will, and bada bing, bada boom. Suddenly it didn't look bad anymore. Woohoo! Oh, I'm a poet and I didn't even know it. I was a bit of a tongue twister. I actually have said that about 10 times because I randomly decided that I wanted to say it exactly how I wrote it down instead of just kind of going off like what it says, because I don't write my scripts seriously. I kind of just write down random words and then I have to try translate my own language into English when I'm talking. But anyway, that's just a look into how I write my scripts. Then I experimented with overlay, as one does, and decided to add a tree, because who doesn't love trees? And I just want to say, I told you I can background. I know this one's not a detailed one, but you can see the vision. I swear I can do detailed ones too. I just didn't plan on even having a background in the speed paint. But here we are. I'm bad at planning and this isn't new. Get used to it. Oh yeah, and I also made Emryss's pants see-through and gave them shorts underneath. I don't know why. I just decided we were doing that today because I could, and I can't tell if I just committed a crime against fashion or just came up with something that actually has potential. And also, don't come for me, but this is in fact the second one of my characters to lose a crop top they had. Listen, I will not sit here and say Emryss wasn't designed in a dark time of my life. 2020. No, not because of lockdown, because that's when I started playing Genshin Impact. Truly a dark time, because I still have not been able to get its influence out of my characters. I still play it, by the way. Like, nothing against the game, everything against past me and their obsession with the character designs. Anyway, so on to the part of the video where I talk about the lore. I'm not shouting because my brother's room is right beside me and the walls are really thin, but you get the reference I was trying to go for there. Yep, we're moving on. So Emryss was found by Kiora and Reagan when they were about 8-ish. I have not decided where they find Emryss, although it's usually on a beach. After they fled their home because of a certain someone, I wonder who. If you have watched pretty much any of my previous videos, you should know, but I suppose I haven't mentioned him in all of them. So, Reagan convinces Kiora that they are so ready to raise a child by themselves, so they take Emryss home. You know, because that's so legal. I mean, okay, realistically, Emryss is probably an orphan by now, and in any case, I've decided that this is in fact one of the many worlds in media, actually, where, for some reason, people can just take in children without any paperwork. I mean, considering they've only had daylight savings for 20-ish years in this world, it actually kind of makes sense now that I think about it. But also, yeah, have you noticed how many worlds there are, like fantastical worlds where you can just take a child off the street and it's fine? I have. So, Emryss, if you can't tell from the water theming, comes from Leviathan's domain. That actually, now that I say it out loud, that actually sounds a little bit more intimidating than I wanted to. It's literally just the area that Leviathan rules over. It's nothing scary, I promise, but actually saying insert names domain, that sounds pretty scary. I promise it's not scary. It does sound scary though. So Leviathan's people basically believe in one gender. There is a reason, okay? Listen, if you want to be male or female, you don't get that choice here, okay? Sorry. Be born somewhere else, okay? And before you ask how they achieve it, this is the reason. Listen, it originally did not start off like this, but the amount of jokes I've made to like my cousins and like friends have turned it into this. I'm sorry. It's their fault, not mine, okay? It is because Leviathan made their people and was number 1, determined to be better than all their siblings, and number 2, let's be honest, Leviathan's the best, so everyone should be made in their image, and number 3, making people is hard and it takes way too long to make more than one sex, but their people seem to think it's a worship thing, so like Leviathan was like, I don't want to make more than one kind of person. And like their people are just like, oh my god, they've blessed us. I don't know. I feel like that's like, I like to think that's how, like, no matter what you believe in, whatever god you believe in, gods, that's how they operate. Like everyone's like, oh my god, they're so great, and they're actually just like, actually that was a complete accident, but yep, I did that. Anyway, the reason that I'm actually mentioning that is because their language only has a way to refer to yourself, the person you're talking to, one individual, or multiple. So like me, you, they, and they plural, which are it's gonna have a different word for that. I don't know if I'm willing to sit down and write an entire language. So just make it up in your head, okay? Which can be confusing when someone from Leviathan's domain speaks the universal language, because I decided to make one of those because, listen, if there's like 14, 15, 16-ish different languages in this, at a minimum there's 14, 15, because there's a universal one, then we're going to need a universal one, or else no one's going to understand each other, okay? So basically, when someone from Leviathan's domain speaks the universal language, or when someone tries to speak Leviathan's language, it's a bit confusing. So, Emryss had 2 parents and a sibling. Good job, Emryss. That seems to be hard in the OC world for some reason. They also lived in a little fishing... I can't say the word fishing. It's a sad life. They also lived in a little fishing village far away from the capital of the domain, so it's not all that protected. That is important. Remember that. And Emryss's sibling was in the guard, as had their parents been before them, so obviously Emryss wanted to follow in their older sibling's footsteps. So they decided to study for just that and train with their sibling, who would on some occasion let them win. But only some, you can't let the 7-year-old get too cocky, Anyway, so everything's going great and all until, surprise, surprise, Eamon. Yep, we knew his name was going to be mentioned, guys. Let's just be so honest right now. Needs to get his hand on a plant that only gods and deities can pick. If you watched my Eamon video, you'd know why. So you should go do that and then come back, okay? Anyway, so said plant only grows in Leviathan, Michael, and Asmodeus's domains, as they were the ones most trusted. It's also worth mentioning that my Asmodeus is 2 gods that can fuse into one, and Diaz is the one trusted with the plant, not Osmo, because that's not a good idea. And Mammon also has one in a pot because he stole it from Michael, because he steals everything from Michael. So Eamon narrows it down easily because he's not breaking into Mammon's manor. That's a death wish. Michael's domain is in the sky, and because he's human, he's not able to go there without an escort. And lastly, Diaz watches her plants like a hawk because her brother is so set on having some for who knows what. So Leviathan it is then. He then finds out that Leviathan does in fact keep their plants scattered throughout their domain, because why should they be worried about a plant mortals can't even pick? So, after finding one located as far away from Leviathan as physically possible, he gets his subordinates to attack the place, but keep it as quiet as possible. So, while they're off doing their assassinations and stuff, as you do, Eamon goes to get the plant with his little deity friend, and Emryss's sibling, who noticed what was going on, got Emryss out of there, but wasn't able to get themselves, because, you gotta save your parents, gotta stop the guy who's trying to pick a plant. The usual. And now Emryss doesn't know where their sibling is. Or if they're even alive for that matter. Are you happy now? Now you're sad. I'm sad. We're all sad. And it's your fault. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. It might just undo the sadness you've caused me. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Irish word of the day is brown, by the way, because it means sad like you've made me and sorry like you should be. Or I guess you have to say brown but whatever, it's the same thing. I'm not an Irish teacher. We don't need to be perfectly accurate here.